A few years back, I was renting this little house in Northern California, just outside the suburbs. One evening in the middle of winter, I got home from work after a long shift with some overtime. It was already dark and the sky was full of clouds, so when I pulled into the driveway, the only light that was there was from my headlights and the small porch light. I stepped out of the car and caught this faint smell of cigarette smoke, which was weird because I'd never smelled that around the house before and I didn't smoke. I looked around but didn't see anyone, so I shrugged it off and went inside. I was exhausted, not even 7 yet, but I figured I'd shower and call it a night. I crawled into bed and fell asleep. Sometime later, I woke up suddenly thinking I heard something inside the house. At first, I wasn't too alarmed because one of my friends would sometimes drop by to use the shower after work before heading to his night classes. I'd even given him a spare key just in case I wasn't home, but he always texted first and I didn't remember hearing my phone go off. So I reached over to check it. This was back when phones didn't auto-dim in the dark and my screen lit up so bright it practically blinded me. I squinted and saw it was a little past 9, but I couldn't really tell if there were any texts. I set it down and called out my friend's name. No response. A couple seconds later, I heard heavy footsteps suddenly take off running downstairs. That's when the panic kicked in. I jumped out of bed and ran straight to the closet. I could already hear whoever it was racing up the stairs by the time I was getting the door open. Upstairs there were 3 rooms: my bedroom, a spare room on the opposite side, and a bathroom at the end of the hall. Both bedroom doors were closed, but the bathroom door was cracked open. I heard the guy thunder down the hallway past my door and straight into the bathroom. Thank God for that. It gave me just enough time to pull down the attic access in the closet and start climbing up. I was halfway in when I heard him come back out of the bathroom. My feet had just disappeared into the attic when my bedroom door slammed open. I immediately froze. He ran into the room, stopped for a second, then bolted to the spare room. That room just had some storage boxes, a few weights, and a table where I painted miniatures. I guess he thought someone might be hiding in there, but didn't find anything. So he rushed back into my room and flipped the light on. Then a second later, I heard the closet door fly open. I was crouched just above the attic opening, close enough that if he tried climbing up, I could try to kick him back. From where I was, I could only see from about his knees down. He was wearing a dirty, frayed blue jeans and old, worn work boots. He stood there for a few seconds, then walked away. And that's when I heard this loud crash and a scream. Not just any scream. It was this furious, frustrated scream that chilled me. It sounded just like my stepdad when he used to lose his temper. The same kind of rage that eventually landed him in a mental hospital. Then the guy tore back down the stairs. I heard things being tossed around. Furniture crashing, just chaos. I stayed completely still in the attic, afraid to even breathe. My phone was still on the bed as I hadn't grabbed it when I ran. I had no idea how long he was going to be down there, so after a while the noise stopped, and I started counting slowly all the way to 1,000. Then I finally climbed back down. The first thing I saw was that my bed was flipped completely over. That must have been the loud noise I heard right after he looked in the closet. I searched around but couldn't find my phone, so I grabbed the landline next to the bed and called the police. I stayed upstairs until I heard them shout from the first floor. Downstairs was a wreck. Chairs knocked over, the couch flipped, books and decorations scattered everywhere. The kitchen was worse. Every cupboard was open, food all over the floor. But oddly enough, the only thing missing was one kitchen knife from the wooden block. The cops did a full sweep of the place and found the side door had been forced open, probably with a crowbar. Out by the fence, they found a few cigarette butts, some foil, and an empty pen tube. One of the officers said that stuff's usually used by people smoking meth. He figured the guy had been watching the house for a while, probably saw me come home, and maybe even heard me pull in. That cigarette smell I caught earlier was from him. They gathered what they could and told me I should go stay with friends or family and get that door fixed as soon as possible. I didn't leave though. Instead, I blocked the door with a shelf and stayed up the rest of the night, cleaning up the mess. Every so often, I'd shine a flashlight along the fence line, hoping not to see anything, and luckily I didn't. The next day, I got the door fixed, had motion lights installed along the back and sides of the house, and even ran a phone line up to the attic so I'd never be up there again without a way to call for help. I ended up living in that house for 3 more years, and nothing like that ever happened again.